I'll
Okay.
explain them.
Okay.
Okay. So yesterday, good afternoon. So yesterday we had a detailed discussion about the concept and definition of ICT and new media and what exactly it is. So also we talked about the transition from agriculture to industrial and to information revolution, which can be termed as primitive era, modern era, and internet era respectively. Okay, so Rajita, you're clear about all this? What we have
Yeah, ma'am.
discussed yesterday? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so today we'll discuss about information theory. So as you know,
Okay.
information is nothing but the set of knowledge obtained by reading or by investigating and by doing research. Okay, so what is theory? Theory is a set of accepted principles. Okay, it is a set of accepted principles which can be derived from a natural or a social phenomena, like observation. If you observe something, if you have an assumption and by constant observation you can derive some conclusion, so that is a theory. So this is known as information theory. So the main aim of this information theory, is to see that the transmission takes place in maximum amount of measure in the capacity, like maximum amount of information can be transmitted or disseminated. That is known as information theory. It is a study about that. So this study was conducted by a mathematician, Shannon and Weaver, who aim to increase the efficiency and accuracy of transmission of reception of messages. Okay, so what does information theory do? What does it helps? So information theory, it helps explain the interaction among the power of a particular signal, the the range, the frequencies, the bandwidth of the channel through which the signal the signal travels. So just a minute, I will share a PPT. What exactly is information theory? And okay. First, let me explain you what is a model. Okay, so in the broader sense, a model is a systematic representation of an object or event. Systematic representation of an object or an event in idealized and abstract form. Okay, with Shannon and Weaver, these were mathematicians, and they developed a model known as Shannon and Weaver mathematical model in the year 1949. So let me explain you what a model actually is. Models are somewhat arbitrary by their nature, and it's the act of abstracting which eliminates certain details to focus on essential factors. Okay, so the key to the usefulness of a model is the degree to which it confirms in point by point correspondence. So what it determines the underlying determinants of communicative behavior. So what exactly are communication models? So they are merely pictures. Communication models are merely pictures. They are even sometimes distorting pictures, because they in the process of transmission sometimes they stop or freeze, because of some disturbance, and essentially dynamic, interactive or transactive process into a static picture. So models are nothing but metaphors. They allow us to see one thing in terms of another. So that there are some advantages of models. They should allow us to ask questions, and they should also clarify complexity. A good model is useful when in providing both general perspective and particular vantage points from which to people can ask questions and stuff after their observation. Sometimes they are more complex. So models should clarify all this complexity, and also they should lead us to new discoveries, and most important, they should also simplify the process. So let me take you to the Shannon and Weaver model. So is my screen visible?
Visible, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the Shannon and Weaver model. Okay, the fundamental problem of communication is that of reproducing at one point, either exactly or approximately, a message selected at another point. So this was done by Claude E. Shannon. As you can see in the pictures, this is Claude E. Shannon, a research mathematician, and Warren Weaver, working for Bell Labs, created a theory of communication designed to facilitate information transmission over telephone lines. Then later, Warren Weaver added the component of feedback to Shannon's leader model, and then thus making it an effective circular. Although the originally intended to be used by engineers dealing with information that was void of meaning, because it was developed, obviously it was developed by a mathematician. So it was initially intended for to be used by engineers. So later it was a very popular interpersonal communication models. So this is the model. So these are the key components required for the communication, that is source, encoder, message, channel, decoder, receiver, noise, and feedback. So I'll explain you. Source is nothing but the sender, the person who is sending the message. And encoder, what is encoder? Encoder means, encoding the message, organizing in a systematic way. It is encoding. Then we have a channel through which the message passes. Channel can be anything. It can be, a television, a mobile phone. Channel can be any technology, any transmission, from where the transmission takes place. Then we have a decoder, where the message can be decoded, of course, in a systematic order, and then it reaches to the receiver. Okay, from source to receiver. And in between we have this noise is nothing but the disturbance created sometimes, and this noise can be divided into two types: semantic voice noise, and then this noise, sometimes there can be problem in the transmission of signals, or sometimes there could be problem in the interpretation of messages, that will also come in under noise. Then we have feedback from receiver. Once the message reaches the receiver from the sender, then the receiver gives, there is a feedback which passes to the source, the sender, whether the receiver has understood the message or not. Okay, so these elements, to understand how the Shannon-Weaver model pertains to communication, so it is necessary to define each individual element. So source, what is a source? The source of communication is the initiator or origin that puts the model into action. Okay, he is the main source, is the main person. So it is an individual. It can be an individual or a group that has a specific reason to begin the communication process. So communication, before communication, should have a reason. There should be a proper specific reason, first of all, to begin the communication process. So that is why there is a message which had the meaning, which has the inner meaning hidden in the message. So they wish to, pass on to the receiver. So the source want the receiver to receive the message as it is. Okay, the purpose, the goal of sending message should be that the receiver should understand what the source, or the initiator, source or the initiator, the sender intends to deliver. Then we have an encoder. As we said, once the purpose of the source has been decided, like what is the reason for communicating, what message has to be conveyed is decided, then there should be, a specified format for the message to take. So this is what the communication encoder does. It takes the concept that the source wants to send out and puts it into a suitable format for later interpretation. So there's so much, in everyday day-to-day life, we have so much of information, so much of communication going on. So it should be, if the source wants the receiver to understand the message, it should be put in a proper format, organized manner. Then only the receiver can understand what the source exactly wants to convey. Then coming to the message, the information, idea or concept that is being communicated from one end of the model to the other is the message. So message is the integral part of the model, right? What is being conveyed, idea, a message, a concept which is being communicated from source to the receiver. So most of the time in human communication, the message contains a distinct meaning. Sometimes there are certain words which have two meanings. So like it should be, in a proper format. The message should be in such a way, in such a language, in such a manner that the message should not be distorted in the sense the receiver should understand exactly the way the source wants to convey. So when the model was created, Shannon and Weaver were not concerned whether the message had substance, but rather what they were, particularly forcing the what they were thinking that okay, there is a message. The important thing is that we are not bothered whether the message is simplified or it is in organized manner or not. The main aim was that the transmission should take place, that the message should reach from, the source to the receiver. But they were neglecting the message, the substance, the message. Then later they, modified the model that I'll explain you in the coming channel. It is essential for meaningful communication that is suitable means to transmit the message we selected. So as I told you, channel is a medium. So for transmitting a message, there should be a medium. There should be a platform. There should be a carrier for the message, to carry. So the channel is the route that the message travels on. Okay, be it verbal, written, electronic, or otherwise. As I said, print media, electronic media, radio, anything. Any channel which conveys, which carries the message from the source to the receiver is the channel. So coming on to noise. It is inevitable that noise may come into play during the communication process. So noise could be considered an interference or distortion that changes the initial message. So anything that can misconstruct the message, be noise. So for example, if you are communicating on with your friend on a mobile and there is some network issue, or you are unable to hear your friend properly, so that is also a noise. That the network issue which you're facing is a disturbance, right? So that is also a noise. It is, it is nothing but it is distorting the message. It is not helping you to properly grasp or understand the message what is being conveyed. So for example, yesterday we were having a class and then there was some internet connectivity issue. That is also a distortion, channel noise. Okay, so that is also noise. Anything which is distracting, disturbing, or interfering in the process of communication can be termed as noise. So noise can be physical, as in an actual sound that muffles the message, as it is being said, or it can be semantic, like I said, like if the vocabulary used within the message is beyond the knowledge spectrum. Like if suppose a scientist is communicating to the general readers, and if he is using some scientific terms, so it's very difficult for the general audience to understand those terms and grasp those terms. So the message should be simplified. That also comes under noise. Okay, using scientific terms and jargons which is not being able to perceived properly can also be noise, that is semantic noise, the verbal communication. So in order for communication to be effective, noise must be reduced. And decoder, before the message reaches the intended recipient, it must be decoded or interpreted. Decoding is nothing but interpretation of messages from its original form into that one the receiver understands. So this is essentially the same interaction as that of source and encoder, only in a reversed sequence. Okay. So coming to the receiver, in order for communication to be executed, for the communication process to be successful, there must be second party at the end, right? Source is sending the message, he is transmitting through a channel, but for whom? Obviously for the end user, that is the receiver. So the receiver takes in the message that the source has sent out. So he is the end user of the product or the message that is been delivered. Then we have feedback. For meaningful communication to come to fruition, it is vital that the receiver provides feedback to the source. So in order to understand whether the receiver has received his message or he is able to grasp his message, the source should know whether he is able to understand the message or not. So that's the reason the feedback process helps the source to understand whether the message has been received, has been successfully interpreted or not, accurately understood or not. So without feedback, the source would never know if the communication was successful. The ongoing communication is made possible by the cyclical route feedback allows. If more communication between the two parties is necessary, they can follow the model indefinitely. So suppose if there is a disturbance, if in the feedback mechanism, if the source comes to know, okay, the end user or the receiver did not interpret the message properly, then again what the source can do is he can again again initiate the communication process, so that in a simplified manner, or he can modify the message and then he can transmit the message to the receiver. So by defining and understanding the various components of the Shannon-Weaver model, an individual may utilize the model in their own communication endeavors. So this is about the model, and let me explain you in detail. There are some terms in this model which, one second. So are you clear about the Shannon and Weaver model, the components
Yes,
in the model? Yeah.
yes, ma'am, clear.
Okay. One second. Okay, so as I said, the Shannon-Weaver model, mathematical model, was developed in the year 1949. I'll just repeat for clarification. So there is an information source, okay, the sender. Then there is an encoder or transmitter. There is a signal, signal in the sense to pass on the message. I said channel. There is a channel. Then there is a decoder, and then there is the message on the receiver or the destination. In this process, we have feedback and noise. There are two terms, that are feedback and noise, and there are some concepts. There are some concepts in this model known as entropy and redundancy, and then noise and channel capacity. So I'll discuss about that. But let me explain you about the strength of this model. So this model or a variation on it is the most common communication model used in low-level communication text. Okay, because within a decade or host of other disciplines, many in the behavioral sciences actually adopted it to countless interpersonal situations. So this model is widely used in interpersonal communication model, and there are some terminologies as well which we'll discuss now. See, the concepts of this model became staples in communication research. As I said, it became very popular. So there are some terminology in this model after the limitations were studied, and it is there are some terms like entropy. Entropy is the measure of uncertainty in a system. What is uncertainty or entropy? It increases in exact proportion of the number of messages from which the source has to choose. Mhm. Entropy is nothing but, it is a, sometimes the message are organized in a, uh, there is lack of organization or disorder in a situation, in a message. So that leads to, opposite, delivery of information in the opposite way. That is known as entropy, because it adds very little information to a message and is useful, and it sometimes is useful in combating noise as well, because the message which we are going to deliver is organized in a very low key level. It's very unorganized way of sending message. That is the term entropy. There is some uncertainty, and uncertainty in the sense that the receiver may decode the message in some opposite way or something like that. This is entropy. And redundancy, it is the degree to which information is not unique in the system. Like those items in a message that add no new information are redundant. So perfect redundancy is equal to total repetition, and it is found in pure form only in machines. Like the channel, as I told you, there is a channel, there is a signal. So in those type of communication, there is the problem of redundancy. So, for example, in human communication, the very act of repetition changes in some minute, like the meaning and the message. If for example, if there is a group of people sitting and discussing some important topic, and by the time a message reaches from the source to the receiver, there is a possibility that there could be distortion of messages, because it is a oral verbal form of communication, and there is a possibility that the receiver may not get the message as it was conveyed. There could be there could be change in some words, and which could lead to the difference in the understanding of the messages. That is redundancy. Okay, any doubt?
No, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. And noise is, noise is also information, but that is not related to the message, because the noise is a disturbance which the source, he didn't intend to convey it to the receiver, right? It is a distortion, it is a disturbance. So any additional signal that interferes with the reception of information is noise. In electrical apparatus, for example, noise comes only from within the system. So whereas in human activity, it may occur quite apart from the act of transmission and receptions. So interference may result, for example, from background noise in the immediate surroundings. For example, if you are sitting in a, if you're sitting outside in a park, and if you're listening to class, sometimes the background noises which occur, uh, this chirping of birds, all these are nothing but additional noises. That is disturbing the setting. For example, a crackling microphone, that can also be a noise. And from the organization and semantic aspects of the message, psychological interference with encoding and decoding, like there is a problem in the perception of messages, encoding and decoding, that will also come under noise. So noise need not be considered a determinant unless it produces a significant interference. Like little bit of noise can be, you know it can be okay, but if this noise interfere with the reception of message, then that has to be reduced, even when the disturbance is substantial. For example, the strength of the signal or the rate of redundancy may be increased, to restore efficiency. we need to make sure that the for example, if you're using internet, we need to check, the bandwidth. We need to check the signal strength, so we can avoid the disturbances, the noise. So channel is nothing but the platform where the message is being carried. For example, there is a term called channel capacity. The capacity of channel to hold the message, the measure of the maximum amount of information a channel can carry. For example, the battle against uncertainty depends upon the number of alternative possibilities the message eliminates. Suppose you wanted to know where a given checker was located on a checkboard. If you start by asking if it is located in the first black square at the extreme left or the second row from the top, and find the answer to be no, 60, there remain a high level of uncertainty. And on the other hand, if you first ask whether it falls on any square at the top of the board, the alternative will be reduced by half, regardless of the answer. So by following the first strategy, it could be necessary to ask up, questions, inefficient indeed, but by consistently having the remaining possibilities, you will obtain the right answer in. Okay, so that's the capacity of the channel to hold the message. So information, as I said, information is it's a measure of uncertainty or entropy in a situation. So the greater the uncertainty, the more the information. And when a situation is completely predictable, no information is present. So most people associate information with certainty or knowledge. Consequently, as used by the information theories, the concept does not refer to a message of facts or meaning. It is a concept bound only to the quantification of, the receiving of signals or stimuli in a situation. Closer examination, this idea of information is not a distinct from common sense as it first appears. As we have discussed earlier, that information is the amount of uncertainty in the situation, or another way of thinking of it is to consider information as the number of messages required to completely reduce the uncertainty in the situation. What uncertainty? Whether the receiver can receive the message in exact form or not. For example, I'll give you an example. See, for example, your friend is about to flip a coin. So will it land heads up or tails up? You are uncertain, right? You cannot predict. This uncertainty, which results from the entropy in the situation, okay, will be eliminated by seeing the result of the flip, right? We are uncertain, but after flipping the coin only, we'll be certain whether, now let's suppose that you have received it tip that your friend's coin is two-headed. The flip is fixed, right? There is no uncertainty and therefore no information. So in other words, you could not receive any message that would make you predict any better than you already have. So in short, a situation with which you are completely familiar has no information for you. Okay, so this is about the Shannon and Weaver model. So any doubts about this model? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. So now moving on to theory of public information. So as we discussed earlier, what is information is the knowledge gained or obtained through, by reading or by researching, etc. So what is public information? So information that is in public interest, that is for the awareness or for education of public, and to keep the public well informed and empowered, and to make them empowered and to make them take right decisions, and which is issued in public interest and is available. The information which is available in public domain is public information. Okay, so for example, in an organization there are two types of public. Who are the public? There are internal public and external public. Who are the internal publics? The employees, the associates of the organization, the people who are working. Employees are the internal publics of an organization, and external publics are the consumers, the end users who are using the products and services of the organization. They are the external publics. So they the organize it's the duty of these organizations to keep their both their internal and external publics informed about their policies, about their organization culture, structure. Everything has to be in public domain, for the better understanding, and so that the if for example if an organization is facing some difficulty, some crisis, and if the internal publics are not informed, then it would be very bad on their on their side, to hide all such flaws of the organization, because people might not want, the employees might not want to work with such kind of organization who are facing a crisis, or there is a a risk of losing their job. So they might want to switch their job. So internal public, they have to be well informed. They have the right to know what is going on in the organization. And also the external public, the stakeholders, those people also should be well informed about the organization. So that's the reason we have this public information. These organizations have websites, and they have web portals, uh, for the for better understanding of the functioning of this organization. Okay, so what are the where are these public information available? These information are available online on media channels. For example, some organization have some they print house journals, and they have the internal channels. So, for example, they have the media channels including print, television, or sometimes they have their own radio. Organization has their own radio, and then they have their corporate films, documentaries. All these are the all these things are engaged in the process of disseminating public informations. So organizations can use any of these channels for dissemination of the information. For example, James E. Green, he's a noted public relations theorist and writer. He has, proposed 4 types of public information models, and that is a press agency model, public information model, and two-way asymmetrical and two-way symmetrical models. So I'll tell you what all these models are about. So are you clear about, what is public information and internal and external publics? Internal publics are the employees, associates who work for the organization, and uh, external public are the stakeholders and the end users of the products and services of the organization. Okay. So the press agency model, they follow a one-way communication. Okay, where the flow of information is only from the sender to the receiver. There is no feedback mechanism here. The source cannot come to know whether the receiver has understood the message or not. So whereas the two-way asymmetrical model involves a two-way between both the parties, sender and the receiver. But here the communication is not balanced, as there is a domination of source, because source is dominating here. He has the main hold there. So that's the reason during this information transmission process, the source is dominating here. So for example, if we take the two-way asymmetrical model, there is a balanced flow of communication. Source is not dominating here. Both the source, the sender and the receiver, they both have the same capacity to read message. He is allowed to give feedback, and he is allowed to ask any doubts and clarify. So we'll discuss the public information model in the greater detail. So we have a model for public information. Okay. as the name suggests, it is, the model focused on the public information. So public information which is to be disseminated in public. So for example, they may circulate, if they want to convey something, they may circulate, and they want to reach to a specific target audience, to their audience or public. Traditionally what they used to do, they used to, use tools of communication, such as press releases, press briefing, news release, okay, pamphlets, or audio video materials, interviews to journalists, and talks, radio talks and TV talks, or interviews. So these were the conventional methods which were used, for disseminating information. For example, some companies, mostly all the organizations now have the magazines of the organizations, with information about the organization, their employees, what are their products, and the testimonials, the success stories, the attrition rate of the organization. All these things are mentioned in these house journals. Okay, so these are distributed, periodically among target audiences. So these are released and distributed among the internal publics and sometimes the external publics, all the target audiences for whom they want, to reach. So this public information model, they revolve around one-way communication, where the information primarily flows, primarily the information flows from the source to the receiver, right? Where the target receiver is nothing but the target audience or employee stakeholders, investors, and so on. And who is the sender? The source is the organization. So in this, information society or industrial era, or in or if we call the internet age, the organizations, they all these organizations have artificial intelligence based websites, which caters to both their internal and external publics. And for all their needs, they have their separate login credentials, password, where the internal staff, the employees, can access those websites, and they can access their database, and then can store some important files. All these options are available in their intranet, websites. And even the employees can check their updates, and they can see their progress and transition, and they can communicate with the HR wing, and they can communicate with their colleagues, or their mentors, the managers, their supervisors. So similarly, how this way they are catering to the internal public side. Similarly, they also cater to variety of needs, to this variety of needs of the customers or their end users, or investors, media, or other people. Like suppose if someone wants to apply for a job, they can directly apply on the website portal, on the career portal, and apply for jobs. So this way they are catering to the information needs of the people, both the internal and external public. So this is about the public information model. So yesterday we discussed about the transition from all these eras, like agrarian society to industrial society and to information society. So you're clear about yesterday's concepts, like how was the agrarian society from hunting, from primitive era, how we moved on to modern era, and now the internet era, and how this agricultural revolution took place. So coming to mass media, what is now today we'll discuss mass communication. So what actually is mass communication? All forms of external communication which are theoretically accessible to everyone, and as uses made of mass media and mass communication vehicles, anything which is catering to the mass audiences, mass people, everything mass. Okay, more number of people. So the characteristics of mass communication are that it reaches a large number of people at the same time. Okay, So it is easy for the receiver to ignore the message, but it is not possible to customize the message, okay, for individual receivers, because it is not targeted to any specific individual. It is meant to target mass audiences, right? Group communication or mass communication. That's the reason it is very difficult to obtain feedback in mass communication, actually, because, and also it is very relatively cheap per receiver reached, okay. So if you want to convey a message individually to everyone, it is a very cost effective process, right? But if you are using the medium of mass communication and transmitting any message, for example, if you are advertising a product or service on television, it is reaching in, a large number of audiences, mass audiences. So it is very cheap compared to individually distributing pamphlets or booklets to each individual household. So that is the characteristics of mass medium, mass communication. So what is the message, what it is conveying? Mass communication is actually conveying of message to mass audiences. So what is the message? So the message of communication is the content one sends to the receiver. The source sends to the receiver, okay. It is the content. Communication is nothing but the message, is nothing but the communication, the content. And in communication planning, one formulates the message in terms of the desired residue of the communication in the mind of the receiver, okay. So these are often one liners with an emotional undertone appealing to the values of the receiver, and sometimes inviting him her to desired attitudes or actions. For example, as I said, an advertisement, okay. Sometimes that advertisement is tempting you to buy that product. So there the use of mass communication is involving targeting the mass audiences, and the message is always transmitted by a person or by other means. There is a mass communication, there is a message, okay, and the message is obviously transmitted by someone, by a source who has some hidden goal. He wants the receiver to you know sometimes, for example, an advertisement, a product that is being advertised on television, for example, a Colgate toothpaste, suppose. What is the intent, what is the main aim of the source here? To you know make the receiver, the end users, buy that product, okay. The main aim is to sell that product, and their aim is that the sales should increase and the receiver should buy the product. There is some hidden goal or agenda behind behind this transmission of messages, for example. And see, the body language or the choice of the medium has to support the message. If not, the result can be counterproductive, because as we say, the medium is the message, okay. So what do we mean by the medium is the message? The central idea of communication theorist Marshall McLuhan, who demonstrated that each media, whether it be print, speech, or television, is connected with a different pattern or arrangement among the senses, and thus results in a different awareness of perception. So, although the literal message of a radio report of a disaster and the television coverage of the same event, may be identical, the event will be perceived differently, because on radio you are describing the event, and on television you are able to see live the event. You are able to see and derive the meaning differently, so and take on different meaning, because the two media arrange the senses differently. Here you can hear, and on television you can see, okay, you can see the visuals, which has a longer lasting impact. So in this sense, the medium, the singular for the word media is medium. The medium is the message. That is why we say the medium is the message. We need to select the right platform to deliver the message. If we want the viewers to see some extraordinary thing going on, so for them the best medium is the television. And if you want to describe some story, or if you want to read if you want for example a novelist story, suppose a writer wants to convey his writings the radio is the best medium for him to convey his message, because there is a huge scope for discussion, describing, and the view and the reader or the listener can visualize the images, right? He can visualize. So that's why medium is very powerful. We say that the medium is the message, and this message is often more important than the literal message. Okay, the medium, correction of medium is very important. So coming to mass media, refers to a diverse array of media technologies, okay, that reach a larger audience via mass communication. The purpose is the reaching to mass audiences through media, use of diverse, various forms of media technologies available. Be it print, television, radio, internet, whatever it is, the technologies, use of media technologies to reach large, audiences is through mass communication is mass media. So the technologies through which the communication takes place, it includes a variety of outlets, as I said, print media, electronic media, etc. So mass media denotes, a section of the media specifically designed to reach a large audiences. The term, mass media was coined in the 1920s with the advent of nationwide radio networks. The mass circulation newspapers and magazines were, existing that time. And however, some forms of mass media, such as books and manuscripts, had already been in use for centuries. So now mass media includes, internet media like blogs, message boards, podcasts, and video sharing, because individuals now have a means to exposure that is comparable in scale to that previously restricted to a select group of mass media producers. The communications, audience has been viewed by some commentators as forming a mass society with special characteristics. Okay, audiences, they're forming a mass society, specialized audiences, niche audiences, notably, automation or lack of social connections, which render it especially susceptible to the influence of, modern mass media techniques, like such as advertising or propaganda. So this is all about mass media. Any doubts of what is mass media, mass communication? Mass media, the technologies, used to deliver the messages to mass audiences. Then we have something called as demassification of mass media. You know, demassification is, to break into elements. Demassification of mass media is breaking the messages into halves, breaking the messages to deliver to specialized audiences, niche audiences. For example, we have a magazine called as Women's Era. Women's Era magazine is, specially designed and meant for women. Okay, the target audience is women. And we have Chanda Mama, a comic book for children that caters to different target audiences, children. So that is the, demassification of mass media, breaking down of mass media. Demassification is to, break into elements that appeal to individuals' interests, like specialized form, niche audiences, like communications media that reaches, fragmented all niche audiences, or we can call it as demassified audiences, as opposed to mass communication via the mass media. Because if if we do not cater to niche audiences, they may lose its importance. For example, we don't have to, circulate these magazines to, children, women's magazine to children, or children's magazine to men. So what they have done is they have divided the audiences into selected target groups and niche, or we call it as a niche audiences. Okay. So demassification of mass media refers, to the restructuring. We design and restructure the information according to the needs of those targeted audiences. Uh, Restructuring of media industry into smaller independent operating entities. This cuts across major mass media like print, newspapers, books or magazines. Then we have films like commercial films and broadcast media like radio and television. And the idea that the mass audience is the largest number of people who can be assembled to hear mass messages is changing right now. We have fragmented audiences, like most media content is aimed at narrow, often still large but narrow segments of people. And this phenomenon of breaking down of messages to reach and make them reach the target audiences, the so-called niche audiences, is called demassification. Demassification is the breaking of elements, breaking of messages for the desired customization. We can call it as customization of messages. Okay, so this is known as demassification of mass media. So any doubt? Demassification of mass. If anybody has a doubt, can you can speak up, unmute yourself and ask, or if you want to share something, some examples, what's going on in your mind, like what you understood, please.
It's very clear.
Clear. Okay. Thank you. So this is mass media. So what is traditional media? Okay, mass we have discussed, right? The term is it's used to denote large number of people. So they also have both negative and positive meaning. In the negative sense, it refers to the ignorant and unruly mass sometimes, and mass implies a lack of culture or intelligence, even rationality also. So in general usage, the word mass refers to people in large number. If we say masses are ignorant, in that a very large portion of the population is ignorant. So similarly, when we say mass destruction, it means destruction on a very large scale. So mass awareness program refers to a program that aims to create awareness among a very large number of people. Mass is large number of people. If we are referring the term mass, that automatically means large number of people. And secondly, masses are geographically distributed. A very large number of people may be attending a public meeting. They are physically present in one place, so they are called as public. So the individuals of mass, may be present anywhere and everywhere. When we say masses in developing countries, are poor, we refer to the people living in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and perhaps some other parts of the world as well. So since the masses are very large in size and in physical terms, the people are distributed, all over. They are anonymous to each other. And the individuals in a mass society are not known to each other. Okay. They are anonymous, not known to each other. They are not even, conscious of the presence of one another. If one mass audience, if one is sitting in Latin America, the is sitting in Africa. So they are not aware of each other, and they may not well defined, because since the people are anonymous, we don't know what are the needs, and what are what are the specialization, what are the interests. We are not sure about that. So like the people in public meeting, the masses don't have any sitting and listening to my class right now. So your goal is to learn about the subject. So we are not sure if you're talking about the mass students or mass
Disturbance
subjects.
అవుతుంది
We
మేడం.
are not sure what is their interest, whether they like the subject or not. Yes.
డిస్టర్బెన్స్ వస్తుంది, అర్థం కావట్లేదు. ఇట్స్ నాట్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్.
Okay. So there is no organized. So okay. Now is it okay? Or there's still disturbance?
ఓకే.
Okay. Yeah. So as I said, there is no organization, and therefore no leadership or hierarchy is present in mass. Further, the masses are not capable of behaving as one unit because their needs and interests are different. So we can conclude that for our purpose, the mass refers to an infinitely large number of people, who are physically located at different places and are not organized at all as a group. Okay. So in fact, there are some scholars like Roymond Williams, and they have summarized that masses actually do not exist. It is only a way of conceiving large groups of people as masses. Okay. Okay. Any doubt? It's clear about mass. Okay. Moving on to the next topic. So what is traditional media? What do you understand by traditional media? Or okay, traditional media, as I said yesterday, it's a print, television. Okay. What about folk media? See, traditional folk media, it includes folk music, dance, drama, songs. In olden days, where there were no traditional media present, and there were they were, when they want to convey the messages, they used to convey through folk music or dance, sometimes literature, sculptures, sculpting and painting. And they were very popular during that age. And it's, I think, in many rural areas it's still popular, the traditional form of folk media. So as as we have discussed earlier, there was no proper organized form of mass communication during that time. So when people want to express or share their ideas or opinions, they used to share their ideas through poetry or through dance, music, and sometimes literature. And it is through folk art and folk performances, the people used to express their happiness, their celebrations, their sorrow, or if they achieved something, they used to narrate some stories, and then they used to convey the messages. Because there were, at that time, there were no printing facility, and information and knowledge were distributed using all these oral tradition form of media. And after that, after a certain time, during the later part of the, what we say, Neolithic age, inscriptions engraved on palm leaves, they used to communicate by copper plates and rudimentary paper, and by they used to record, how they used to record the information by engraving on scriptures. So particularly this traditional folk media, they include dance, drama, songs, and puppetry, and so on. So these were the traditional folk media. And what are the benefits of these media? Because they don't, for example, for mass communication, it's very expensive. If you want to reach a target audiences, we have to pay. But if you want to convey a message through folk media, it is very cost effective medium, because there is no operating cost, or very less operating cost. Okay. And folk media is popularly known as people's media, because they connect to the people very easily in their, because they speak in their own language, they are their own people, their cheerleaders, or what we call their mass leaders. So and they can strike an immediate chord with the community. They have that charm to influence. They are the influencers. So they have, it's possible that the message can reach the target audience very effectively, because it is their own people. It is their the people, the person whom they admire or whom they know personally, is delivering that message. For example, in an advertisement, uh, there is an advertisement of let's say there was an advertisement of this soap, beauty soap, Lux. Okay. Where the actresses, they say, okay, this is a beauty soap, soap, and if you use this soap, it helps in so and so beautifying your face, and you will have a glow like an actress. All these terminologies they say, and people sometimes and it's very difficult for rural people to believe, because uh, they first of all they don't believe in all these chemical based products. They believe in their own homemade homemade products which they create. So for example, if this message is conveyed through a person of their community whom they know, whom they admire, and suppose that person is the person, the lady itself, if she's herself is beautiful and she's saying something, okay, if we use this, I am using this product, and this product has helped me improve my skin texture, and if she does the USP of the product, then the community, it's easier for the community to connect, and they will believe, and they will understand, and they will buy that product, because it's their people who are telling them, okay, I'm using this product, it is good, and you can also use this product. So it has a larger impact, greater impact, and the message can be conveyed effectively. This is the some of the features of folk media and its advantages. And it can be the messages through which is conveyed through this media can be personalized and tailor made. Like as I said, if they have a local language, they can speak in their language, and they can suitable to their requirements. Okay. And um, and it is a participative media. Okay. People, the community people can also participate in the folk media. Okay. And it's a
Madam,
direct
hello,
face-to-face communication. Yeah.
hello. Yeah, ma'am, that
Yes.
product will not work means what will happen? They believe that person and they'll take that product. If that product does not work, what is the reaction, madam, from the people?
No, this is just an example. Just an example that if, okay, if they are saying on advertisement on television, and people are buying so many products, for example, Fair and Lovely. Still, Fair and Lovely claim that, okay, if you use this product, you will become fair. You have a clear skin. All those things, that is the USP of the product. And they have come up with various forms and various. Fair and Lovely products from so many years. People are still buying. Do you think that people are using and becoming fair? Is there anyone who is using this product and it is and they are becoming fair? No, right? But still, they have a faith. They believe in that product. For example, they have come
But
up with
ma'am,
this.
to some extent it is working, I think, Fair and Lovely.
Yeah, it is working. That's the reason. If it is not working, also they are believing, right? They are believing. Why? Because we have this product, Fair and Handsome, right? Fair and Handsome endorsed by Shah Rukh Khan. It is also subside of Fair and Lovely. After that, that advertisement has been launched. The sale has increased because it is endorsed by Shah Rukh Khan. He is a celebrity, and people believe him. Though the USP of the product, it is not true. People won't become fair just merely using cosmetic creams, right? But still, they have faith, they believe, and they purchase that product because they are a huge fan of Shah Rukh Khan, or say Yami Gautam, who endorsed Fair and Lovely. So they are the huge fan, and because it is endorsed by celebrity, they are saying, okay, I'm using this product and it's suiting my skin, and it has so many benefits. People are trusting and buying. So the same way, folk media also, if their people are saying something, they believe, okay, they may have that notion that, okay, I am using this product and it's helping me, it's helping me. They think in their minds, okay, I'm going to use this product, not now, not immediately, but maybe after 6 months, or maybe after continuously using for some years, I may, it may have some effect. So they believe on that. They have that, that faith in that person. Okay, our people are saying, so we may try and use that product. Okay, they have this faith. They're not banning the products, right? If it's not working, they're not banning it. If is Fair and Lovely banned? Not, right? not banned. It's still being advertised and still people are buying the products. And what is the USP? It will make you fair. Fair and lovely, as the name itself suggests.
Madam, good afternoon, madam.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Fair and Lovely product by name Fair and Lovely is no more in use. Is it true?
Fair and lovely?
No more in use. It is some other name. Product like Fair and Lovely is not existing right now. Is it true?
Yeah. Fair and lovely, I have discussed, right, that it has come with various other substitutes, but still the company, the product is, it is the same product with various substitutes, but still it's there in the market and people are using. The sale is high. Fair and lovely is still in the market.
What I mean to say is that the name has changed. Now it is no more a Fair and Lovely. It is something else.
Okay, it is something else, but the product is same, right? It's from the same company, the same manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Glow
Ma'am.
and Lovely.
It is
It is
a
glow and lovely. Glow and
Glow and
lovely.
Lovely.
Fair and lovely and glow and lovely, but the thing is, what they claim, okay, if you use our product, you'll have a glow on your face, right? Instead of fairness, they have changed it to glow, because it was under debate that why only fairness is considered to be the terminology for beauty. So what they did is it was in debate for few reasons. So later on, what they did is they changed their name, but the product is same. Only the name has been changed, but still people are buying. Okay, for that glow. Okay, if not fair, we'll have some glow on our face. People think that way, and they still buy the product, right? It's still there. It's still existing in the market and still being advertised, and still people are buying the product. Okay. Yeah, it's glow and lovely, right? So that what I'm mean to say is that people have that kind of trust on the product, on the people who are endorsing the product. Okay. So this was about folk media. So anyone want to share something about folk media, like what kind of your folk media you are aware about? Did you attend any folk media program of puppetry, anything in your village or in any rural area?
Yeah, ma'am. Burrakatha, Yakshagana.
Yeah. Purakatha is an excellent way of communicating and disseminating information. It's still very popular. Purakatha.
Harikatha.
Yeah, Harikatha, Purakatha. And
Yakshagana.
there is a lot of scope for immediate feedback from the audience as well in these kind of media, folk media. Yeah.
Yakshagana and
So, did anyone of you, see this kind of folk media shows? Did anyone see whether on television or in your
Live.
live? You have seen?
Yeah.
So, how was it? Like, how was the communication process there? It was effective.
Yeah, ma'am. It is very effective. They speak in a very normal language. I mean, rural language, which is actually the language of the rural people. We feel difficult to understand it, but it's very effective.
There is the customization also, the customization of message, right? They use their own slangs, their own language. Yeah, their own people are involved. The community people are involved. We have this concept of community radio also, right?
Madam, when I've seen them, I felt that they are more better than the normal heroes, these actors, isn't it? They are more better than
because it's natural for them. It's very natural. They are not acting. It's coming out naturally, and they take pride in presenting all these forms. They are very they do it very dedicatedly, and they are very dedicated and very passionate. and it's obvious in the performances as well.
Yeah. Very effective. Very
Yeah, it's very effective. Still, traditional folk media is very effective in dissemination of messages in rural areas, where the modern technologies is not reachable. For example, they are not connected to internet or smartphones, or they don't have a laptop or computer. So this is the best way to convey a message, right? Convey a message to those type of audiences who do not trust mass media, or like who are very, they trust these kind of folk media very easily, and they are very happy also. The feedback itself, we can come to, there is an immediate instant feedback there. You don't have to wait for the feedback. If there is an instant feedback, we can see on the faces of the audiences, right? The reaction of the audiences.
nice.
So that is the powerful, medium, power of traditional folk media.
Yes.
So now next, moving on to the concept of, we have something called concept of global village, which was coined by Marshall McLuhan. He was a noted media scholar. Okay, he has coined the concept of global village. So what is global village? The term, global village, it has been used to express the idea that people throughout the world are interconnected through the use of new media technologies. Now the world, it means, the world has become, a village. World is so big, but it has become a village, a small village. Why? Through the use of these technologies, the use of media technologies, ICTs, the world has compressed into a small global village, because it is very easy for us to get connected to each other. If we are sitting, if today I'm sitting here, and if my cousin is in US, I am able to connect with him and on video call, and we can have a discussion. Everything is, very easy for us. Gone were the days when we used to write letters, and we have to send them, post them, and then we need to wait for their messages, their letters. So gone were the days. Now the world has compressed into a village. That's why it's called a global village. So in short, it is the world considered as a single community linked by telecommunications. Okay, we are interlinked with each other. So one easy example of the global village concept is the internet. Of course, see, having the internet on phones and access to free internet at libraries or cafes, people are easily able to connect via social media or email to people around the world. Now we have this video calls, video calling apps. We have video calling on Facebook, WhatsApp. We have all those different apps for video call, and people are very convenient, and it's very easy for people to connect around the world. And being truly part of the global village means being connected to the worldwide communication network. So this makes it possible, to know what's going on anytime, anywhere. And while this kind of awareness can be exciting, it can also cause, sometimes cause stress. For example, if there is a bomb blast going on in some place, and then there is an option called Facebook Live on Facebook, right? So if you are watching a live video, we are getting connected to the world, though we are not physically present there, but everything, we are watching it live. Sometimes some content can be very stressful, and it can cause stress, but at the same time it helps us getting connected with the world. The world has become very shorter, we are connected with the world. That's the reason it is known as global village. The world has become a village, global village. So it's clear, global village. What exactly is a global village? See, we can now hear this and see events that is taking place thousands of miles away. A matter of fraction of seconds, we can, as I said, Facebook Live, or breaking news on television, which we see in a matter of seconds, or often quicker. We can hear of events, and we can be assured that our friends and family who are residing there are safe or not. Everything, a fraction of seconds, can be confirmed. So that is the concept of global village. Okay. Yeah. So Is it fine? Any doubt till now? It is easy to understand, right? The concepts, they're not complex. Yeah.
It's very easy.
Okay, these things, these media technologies, we use them on a daily basis in our day-to-day life. So I don't think it should be a problem for you to, understand these terminologies or concepts, which I'm talking about, like global village, or yesterday what we have discussed about convergence or integration, new media, all these things. We use this in our day-to-day life, right? Okay, so coming on to the next thing, there is something called as instant dissemination of information. So what do I mean by instant dissemination of information? What do you understand by instant dissemination of information? See, if we want to convey a message, now, as I said earlier, if you want, earlier when where these technologies were not in existence, if we want to convey a message, we used to write a letter or send a telegraph and wait for the response. Okay, now the things have changed because of the high speed transmission internet. That has increased the expansion in broadband bandwidth. Okay, in the recent years, which has been possible by the use of World Wide Web, for the transfer of data. So, and today, due to increased speed and bandwidth and expansion, the large volume of data or the information can be disseminated at a in a very less time. It can be compressed and it can be sent. Yes. Okay. In distribution of information in very quick, in a very less time and very quickly, is the instant dissemination of information. So there is something called as, and there are two major types of communication that takes place in this instant dissemination on information. One is synchronous communication, okay, another one is asynchronous communication. So synchronous communication tools, it refers to instant and direct real-time communication, where all participants spread across different to instant and direct real-time communication. That is video call, video conferencing, where all the people sitting in different parts of the world, they are sitting face to face on video cam, and it's a real-time communication, and people are participating with each other, and they're spread in different cities, different countries, and different territories with different time zones, but on a single platform at the same time. Okay, so that is known as synchronous communication. And what these tools helps us is to connect, people at a single point in time, and at the same time, it possesses the advantage of being able to engage, people instantly. It's very instant at the same time. We are sitting here, it's night, it's daytime, evening time here, and maybe in some other country there is night, but still they are able to connect with each other at a single platform at the same time. Okay, so it's as per their own convenience, they're able to connect. So for example, there are many instant messaging apps, chat, and then web conferencing, video conferencing, etc. Zoom is also, this platform is also one of the example of synchronous communication. And then, for example, for synchronous communication, what we can cite example is that people can, this can also, connect to a group of people, large group of people connecting on an online collaborative platform like this, but it's not in real time. It will be like something like a recorded lecture. Okay, this form allows, people to connect together at each other's own convenient time. For example, if some students are not, able to attend the class today, this lecture can be recorded and they can hear this lecture at their own convenience, their own convenient time. Okay, so that is the example. That can be an example of asynchronous communication, and this format is particularly helpful for people across multiple time zones and schedules to connect as per their own convenience, because as today is Sunday, some people are busy, some people might be resting, and some people have some different plans or vacation. People might not be able to connect, so this recorded lecture will help them not to miss their class and stay up to date with their topic. So this is one of the example for asynchronous communication. And other online successful online tools can be discussion boards or weblogs or blogs, email, messages. All these are the example of asynchronous communication. Okay, any doubt? So what is internet? Anyone? What do you understand by internet? So we have been talking about all these new media technologies, tools. Okay, so it's been connected on a single platform. So what is a platform? Internet, right? So what do you understand by the term, by the word internet, which we use on a daily basis?
Ma'am, World Wide Web.
Yeah. So what does this internet helps us to do? What exactly is internet being used?
To connect the people in one platform.
Yeah. So, yes. To connect with the people in a single platform. Yeah. So like so technology, okay, internet is also one of the technology, right? As we have been discussing about new media technologies, and also internet is also one of the technology. So like what do you think are the benefits of internet? We have been using internet to connect with the world, right, in a single platform. So what are the benefits? Anything general, what do you think are the benefits of the internet? No, it's very cost effective, right? You don't have to pay every time you use an internet. Yeah.
For getting information.
Yeah, for communication, and for storing the data and retrieving the information, for protecting information, for it is used for various forms, and these are the advantages, some of the advantages of internet. So why do you use internet? For sometimes you use for studying, for researching. So for what purpose you use internet, and how it is beneficial for you? Just 2 points. Anybody?
Information, ma'am, information is stored in the internet.
Yeah, for gathering information, for storing information, for communication, and also for protecting information also we use internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any news we can see immediately. What?
Yes. Okay, good. So next topic is internet and its evolution, and computer and its evolution, that we'll discuss in the next class. I just wanted you to this just tell me if there is any doubt regarding these two classes, these terminologies. It's a very new subject for you all, so there are I think some of the terms you have heard for the first time, like the concept of global village, which we have learned today, and we have discussed about information theory and dissemination of public information theory, Shannon and Weaver model, So you have any doubt? Are you able to understand the concepts?
Ma'am, yesterday's class I did not attend. Anything in brief, ma'am?
Okay, ICT. Yesterday we discussed in brief about what exactly is ICT and new media. You know, we what do you understand actually by new media? You have heard about new media? So yesterday we talked about yesterday. We just discussed like how is the syllabus divided. I mentioned that it has been divided into 5 blocks, and we had a brief about what actually ICT and new media is and why do we call it new media. So then this is where new media is very important when we are talking about we are saying there is a medium which is because lot we understood the convergence. New media is the integration or convergence of all the traditional form of media like print, electronic, audio, radio, all these mediums. Okay, so just a brief about today's topic. Earlier, when we used to talk about media and traditional media, we used to talk about different media, which had a different category. Then there was an audiovisual medium, that is electronic medium, which had a different category. Then now we are talking about new media, which is talking where we are talking about the convergence. So, which means that the printed form, images, and sounds were totally different categories earlier. But in new media, for instance, the internet and web media constitute all these media forms. Yesterday we discussed that when we are talking about new media, it's not particularly not one media or technology which we are talking about. When we are talking about the new media, we're talking about the packaging of information. Okay, the new way of offering information to our target audiences. That is new media. And about ICT, ICT stands for Information Communication and Technology. So information is in nothing but the knowledge that is obtained from reading, investigation, study, or research. And communication is the act of transmitting messages and a process whereby information is exchanged between individuals. And technology is the nothing but the application of science which is used to solve problems. So putting these three together, the information here can be referred to for example, post, text. Facebook post, if you're uploading a post on Facebook, it has text, pictures, images, and videos that have been shared and uploaded online. We have messages sent, and then we have pictures we are uploading. All these are integration of all the technologies. This is what is called as ICT. So yesterday we discussed about what is exactly is new media and ICT and convergence. Okay. And don't worry if you miss the class. I'm anyhow going to share the notes as well after all the sessions. I'll be sharing the notes with you all. And if you have any doubts, you can reach me. You have my number, right? It's there.
Ma'am, your number, ma'am? I don't have your number.
Okay, I'm mentioning it in the chat box. If you have any doubt, you can reach me.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Next class,
available.
any preparation? We have to do any preparation?
No. As this is a very new subject for you all, so first just understand the concept, grab the concept, and then later on we'll have some, interaction about it. So this is my number. You can note down my number, and I can be reached on WhatsApp as well. If you have any doubt, let me know. And you have the syllabus copy, right? Is the textbook with you? You can go through the topics as well. And if you have any doubts in today's class, In the next class, we'll discuss about internet and computers, evolution of computers. Okay. Okay, Manjula.
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Manjula Reddy, ma'am. My after I'm in MSc Psychology, I have taken this subject. So I'm feeling I'm easy.
Yeah.
That's all, ma'am.
Okay, so are you able to understand the topics?
Yes, ma'am. As of now, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay. Okay. So all the best. And Rajita?
Ma'am,
So
I
no doubt.
understood, but I can't
Yeah.
explain you.
No, but you are able to understand the topics, right? Is there any doubt, or I am going very fast? Am I going very fast?
No, possible. It is very clear, but when you telling I can't explain you.
But you are able to understand.
Okay, I'm able to understand.
Okay. Okay. So see you in next class next week. Okay, Saturday 3 p.m.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll start with new topic, internet. And
Okay.
if you have any doubt, just ping me on WhatsApp. I will share the